Every time I have to load a new glue stick into my glue gun, I get completely annoyed. I'm stuck somewhere in between. Do I need to hold this in here? Is it getting caught? Is the glue coming out? And it's just completely frustrating. So when I found this hack where you can heat up one end of a new glue stick and then just smoosh a tiny little dot of new glue onto here, gingerly placing it through the glue stick hole to attach to your old glue stick, it really blew my mind. This allowed for continuous connection through the new glue stick without me having to struggle holding onto it. I think it's safe to say that at some point in all of our lives, we struggle with the wobbly chair. Grab yourself a penny or a nickel, depending on the size you need. Sometimes size does matter. And smoosh a little glue on top that sucker, then shimmy it or stick it right to the chair. I wasn't trying to flip the chair upside down, so I just put it on the ground and then smushed the top of the chair right into the penny, and no more wobbly chair. I'm a huge fan of these rope type baskets. Dollar Tree even has these weave-in straw baskets that I really like, but you can't always find them, and I'm horrible at sewing things. So I thought, let's take some of the Dollar Tree rope and create our own with a little bit of hot glue. I wanted to also add some of this in different little sections around our basket just to add a little bit of a color differentiation, and I felt like it might give it a little bit more of a high-end look than just looking like some rope all twirled up together to create a basket. So in certain sections around our rope, I wrapped this and then tied it off, cut off the excess, and then moved to another section. There wasn't no rhyme or reason according to the size or the length that I created these little sections. I just wrapped it until I was happy with it and then moved on to a new spot. When I was happy with the amount of our little sections I put on this rope, I added a little bit of hot glue to the very end, pressed it inwards, and then started swirling. I've created coasters like this before, but never really done a basket. If you have some fabric hot glue, I would recommend using that over just the regular hot glue. Don't ask me why, it just would make me feel fuzzier inside, and I'm just recommending it to you because if I had it, people would be using it. But I didn't have that particular hot glue today, so we're just using the regular hot glue. Walmart usually has a pretty big selection for you to choose from. These little Shore Bonder packs are normally a go-to for me, but I knew today I was gonna need something way bigger. And I love Gorilla Glue, and I know many of you do too, so I wanted to pick this up and use this for our video today, just in case you're wondering what we're using. When I was happy with the flatness of our basket, I decided to start curving it upwards. And people, you're going to want to be careful with your finger placement on this one. Owie, 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 owie. That hand will be out of commission the rest of the video. I'm just kidding. It hurt for a day or two and then I moved on with my life. But you be careful. Protect your little finger bits, okay? As I got to the top, I cut off the end of the rope and tucked it down on the side. I love how this little piece turned out. I know it's not sewn together, but for some hot glue, this basket, I'm pretty happy with it. The cool thing about hot glue is it's not just to attach things. I know, shocker, right? For this little hack, I'm gonna turn this rolling pin into a textured rolling pin for some clay imprints. This is my favorite clay. Use whatever kind of clay you want. You can also create whatever type of texture pattern you want on your rolling pin. You could create some lines, you could create some little dots. I just went with some squigglies. I do recommend making sure you use a thick amount of glue, because the thinner the glue is, the less it's going to show up when you go to roll it over top of your clay. And be mindful, this is not as easy as you would think it is. The rolling pin is constantly moving as you're trying to put your design on there, so just be careful with that if you go to recreate this. And hopefully yours isn't as jacked as mine, but you get the idea here. You can also create your own little DIY stamps, grabbing some wood slices in any shape really. I had these little flower pieces sitting around, and I'm taking the glue and just making a heart. If you're horrible at drawing, and you're gonna see how jacked mine kind of is, use a stencil to trace it out. That's fine as well. Just make sure you have a healthy amount of glue so your imprint shows up inside your clay. I do stencils all the time, and in my comments, people are always telling me that they struggle with them, even though I got a how-to stencil video. I'm just kidding. I love y'all. So here's another option, right? You can take a stencil and you could trace it if you want. I'm gonna just freehand this sucker. That way you can see at home that you can also freehand it without a stencil. It doesn't have to be perfect to be something you love, okay? I'm just writing be positive on here, and then we're gonna grab our glue gun and we're going to go right over top the words. Make sure, or over top the letters, make sure you're using a healthy amount. I could have went over this a little bit more, and I decided to take a clay tool and try to adjust it in little sections that I felt were lacking. Didn't help so much because there were some strings. You can go back and clean all of that up, which I did, but keep in mind as you're going along, you can be as neat or as messy with this as you want. I will say that if you're going to be hovering over your hot glue, it's a good idea to wear protective eye coverings, so this way the heat from the glue gun that is coming up isn't burning your eyes. And another little tip for projects like this, if you want to let this dry and then go back over and fill in sections you feel like could use touch-ups, or add a little bit more glue so this way the letters come out more dominant, don't be afraid to do that. Here I am just going through and getting rid of our little crusty stringy bits, and then I'm going to take some paint and do one nice layer over top of the entire piece. If you want to use spray paint for this part, you go right ahead. I was completely happy just taking a cheap little chippy brush and going over it to cover the words. And look how pretty that turned out just with a layer of paint. But we're not done. We're gonna take some Dixie Belle gilding wax and a stencil and some florals and just do this piece up and add a little something something to it. If you go to use gilding wax on a stencil, be mindful it can be a little touchy, okay? It can be a little touchy. I took some of that same gilding wax, put it on my finger, and then went right over our glue where we painted. And in case you're going to ask, yes, I would definitely seal over this if you go to create another piece like this. I took some texture paper that I had from a recent video that I received a bunch of goodies in a mystery box. I had this paper left over, thought it would be perfect over in the corner, added some greenery with a little flower in the corner, and now, isn't that pretty? If you're anything like me, you struggle with hanging pictures on the wall. You can take some hot glue and put in the corners of your pictures, and this will stop them from wobbling around. So even if that sucker is on the half and a little crooked, it at least won't be wobbling everywhere. Whenever I use floral foam, it starts to melt on me. So I grabbed these sticks and wanted to share a way that you could create really fun little floral planters without using glass, especially if you have little kids or grandkids hanging around. I know that if they're running around and bumping into things, it's a worry that something's going to tip over and it's going to break. This is a really inexpensive and creative way for you to use hot glue to make your own vases. You could take fabric and do this. You could take a Dollar Tree hat just like I am and glue it all around, add some little decorative accents, and then put in whatever florals you want. Pop these around your house, and then you don't have to worry about anything falling over and breaking. As always, people, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed these hot glue stick hacks, and until next time.